this Afghanistan thing is just crazy.
It is.
Like,
It's hard to believe.
and I'm not even sure I even fully follow it.
Yeah.
Like all you know is all hell breaks loose, and you know, the Americans are leaving, and the airport of Kabul is being like overtaken by thousands of Afghanistan people. And have you seen the video?
Yeah, I actually saw it the other day,
Like,
and it was really sad.
Like this video that is on right now. Check that out. Like, it is people running and screaming, and there's people falling off the plane. There was 3 people that attached themselves
to the landing
to
gear.
to the landing gear of a United States Air Force plane and dropped to their death.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely chaos.
I mean, can you
over
imagine
there.
being in that situation?
Yeah, I mean,
You know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, can you imagine the desperation you have to be in?
yeah, I mean,
And the crazy mental state you have to be in to be so fearful that the Taliban has now just overtaken the country, that they are fearful for their family, they're fearful for their life, and it's a horrible scene, man.
yeah, if you are any type of U.S. supporter, Christian, or even anybody who's even helped remotely in the last 20 years has helped the U.S., you're being targeted. And I mean, I know that a lot of the churches and a lot of the Christian pastors and fathers or whatever they've all received letters saying that they're being watched and that they're coming for them. So I mean,
Who's coming for them?
The Taliban. The Taliban's coming after Christians. They're coming after interpreters. They're coming after their families.
Yeah,
You know, it's the worst possible scenario.
I
And
mean,
they were saying for the longest time that it would take roughly, the U.S. intelligence was saying that it was going to take roughly about 90 days for all this to happen. It took 10 days, because as soon as they found out that we were pulling out, they completely got a second wind and just started taking over everything.
dude, it's just it's a crazy sight. And when you think of like where is the Afghanistan president? He fled.
Oh, he's gone.
Like, I mean, and that's the sad part. The sad part is that we have spent 20 years in Afghanistan.
Yep.
20 years. And I don't think anybody would say that, hey, we probably should not have Americans over there still, because it's their fight to fight over there in Afghanistan. But the way that we just pulled out so quickly without a plan for that, of all of what we have achieved over the last 20 years.
Yep.
Is
not to mention everything
crazy.
we left. Everything we left, man. I mean, for the most part, we usually blow up our bases. We usually get rid of any type of intelligence or military grade equipment that is left behind, and that did not happen.
I don't think we blow up everything that we have.
I think a lot of the times they destroy it. So they can't use it.
Destroying it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's been several instances where we've left. You know, the embassies have been taken over in other countries, and everybody inside that embassy is there to shred paperwork, documents, classified information. I don't think we've blown it up, but I think that we've absolutely destroyed everything we possibly could.
Well, I'm just talking about like military vehicles,
right.
Black Hawk helicopters,
right.
You know, the A-29s, things like that.
It's crazy that the Taliban now has control over everything that's left over there. I mean, the Afghanistan army just,
they went home.
I mean, that's basically what they did. And now the Taliban, they got over 900 guns, 30 Humvees, 20 armored pickup trucks. You've got 167 Black Hawk helicopters. I mean, that's insane.
Yep.
Like, we went over there to stop the chaos, and we did that for 20 years. And I wouldn't say a peaceful manner. I mean, there's been a lot of lives that have lost over there. But we've kind of broken up the Taliban where they can't get any bigger in a way. And now that we've just left, we have left them with an arsenal full of resources to do whatever they please with.
Yep.
I mean, I
Did you see
it's
what?
crazy.
Did you see what China already came out and they already acknowledged the Taliban as the head of Afghanistan and basically committed billions of dollars to help them restructure and rebuild.
I didn't see that. No, do they really?
Yeah, $60 billion that they committed to helping the Afghanistan people / the Taliban get back and help rebuild.
For
That
the
was on
Taliban.
for the Taliban. That was on Forbes. Yeah, I saw that I think on the 17th, like 2 days ago. So I mean, and not only that though, but we all kind of know, what is going on with China. Well, we all are very suspect of China because of obvious recent events,
Right.
with COVID and all that other stuff. But we haven't had a great relationship with China anyway. But then on top of that, Russia and China have both been doing joint operations together. They've been training together. So that's pretty suspect as well. Not to mention, the Afghan army, they didn't have their heart in this fight at all. I mean, they were the highest paid military police force on the planet, paid by us, and we were paying them billions of dollars a year to fight and to try to get a foothold in their own country. And then, of course, when the money left, they just went home. They handed it over.
Yeah, it's not to go down this road too far, but it says China is poised to make an exclusive entry into post-U.S. Afghanistan with its Belt and Road Initiative. Speaking on condition of anomaly, a source close to the government officials in Afghanistan told the Daily Beast that Kabul authorities are growing more intensively engaged with China on extension of the $62 billion China-Pakistan economic corridor, which involves the construction of highways, railroads, and energy pipelines between Pakistan and China to Afghanistan. Fascinating stuff, man. It's I don't know how anybody can really. I get why, but I can't believe that anybody would even remotely have conversations with the Taliban. Like the Taliban's just, we know that they are not good people,
No.
and it's just so sad because that country. What do? You basically, if I mean, imagine your family over there. What do? Do you just fall under their regime and just do what they want you to do,
You try
though
to hang.
right or wrong?
Yep. You try to hang on to a plane to get out of the country when the Americans leave, and you end
Yeah.
up falling to your death because you can't get out. That's
Yeah,
how
it's-
desperate. That's how desperate it is.
And there's still Americans over there. There's still Americans over there that are waiting to come back home. But it's a scary situation, man. I just keep thinking like there had to have been a better way to exit.
Absolutely.
Like that entire terrain over there in Afghanistan is very complex. I mean, you would have to watch some documentaries or actually be there, actually look at photos to realize how complex it is, because there's not really a way that you can actually govern that country. You know what I mean? Because it's so spread out. Like you couldn't find the Taliban if you wanted to back then. They would try. But God, man, like, I don't want to say that Trump would have had a better way or another president would have another way, but you would just think that we would have been better at our execution, and it would have been safer too. That's the thing. It's not like it would have been better to have a better plan to leave it in somewhat a peaceful manner, but us leaving has just caused complete chaos.
Well, not to mention, why did we pull the military out before we got the rest of the Americans out and the rest of the people the last 20 years that have helped us try to make that a better region? Instead, we just up and left all of our equipment, left a bunch of military-grade weapons, left a bunch of Black Hawk helicopters, bunch of planes, bunch of everything, pulled the military out, but yet we have 10,000 Americans still left over there. Not to mention the people who were interpreters or the people who have helped us over the last 20 years. And we just, they completely got thrown to the dogs on that one. And, not saying that I am a expert in foreign policy by any means, but at least when Trump spoke about this, he had a plan. And his plan was not what the Biden administration did a lot. It's you get out the Americans, you
Right.
get out the people. I mean, Americans come first in Trump's eyes, but you get all them out. You get the people out that have helped us, and you help them, get
Mm-hmm.
established in the U.S. or somewhere else, and then you pull the military out and you
Right.
blow up all of our stuff, or you get rid of all of our stuff, or take it back. Whatever you do,
Right.
you don't leave it there.
Right.
And now the big thing is, okay, so now the Taliban has all this equipment. They have billions of dollars worth of equipment. What do you do with that? Are you telling me that are they going to be able to use all of it? Are they going to sell some of it to China? Are they going to sell some of it to Russia? I mean, what do you do with that?
Yeah, I don't even know if they're going to sell it or they're going to use it, but I mean, you start thinking like the Taliban they're terrorists at the end of the day.
Yep.
And it just seems like how long until they start making some serious threats, because they already have.
Yeah.
Um,
But not only that though, but like, what a punch in the face! Like, what a punch in the face to every single American who has served in Afghanistan or Pakistan or Iraq, who's been over there. I mean, 2001 is when we got that heavily involved with everything because of 9/11. Okay, so I graduated in '07. I have friends that went to Iraq, and I have friends that went to Afghanistan, and I have friends, older brothers that were part of Iraqi freedom, enduring freedom. And now all of a sudden, I mean, you have people who have served, whether it's 5 or 10 or 15 years ago, and they have to deal with the PTSD and all the mental health issues that come from being in such a desolate part of the region that and being a combat vet and everything they've seen
yeah.
and everything they've been through, and now we just leave.
Yeah, it's everybody that have served over there, they all wanted to have peace. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because a lot of the Afghan people, I'm sure they've developed relationships with, because there is good people everywhere,
Oh, absolutely.
including Afghanistan. And so I don't think any soldier or anybody that served in our military wanted to see their 20 years of hard work completely just shattered in a matter of days.
Yeah, and it's not that they necessarily didn't even think that we should be there, we shouldn't get out, or whatever. It's not that.
Right.
It's how it happened, and
Right.
how the Biden administration pulled everything out so quickly, and how they dealt with the situation when there was multiple different other ways to deal with it that
Yeah.
would have been much better.
Yeah.
That, I think, is what is difficult, because anybody I've talked to or anything that I've seen, like they're pissed.
Yeah.
They're upset, and they make it very known how they feel about what has been going on the last few days.
So Biden had an interview with George Stephanopoulos on ABC News the other night, and George asked him, "So do you think that this exit could have been handled better in any way, no mistakes?" And the president said, "No, I don't think it could have been handled in any way that we're going to go back in hindsight and look. But the idea that somehow there's a way to have gotten out without chaos ensuing, I don't know how that happens. I don't know how that happened." And I mean, it's after the fact, but I think everybody could agree, like it could have went a little bit better if there was more time to prepare the transition from U.S. to the Afghan army and the people. You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't seem that way. It seemed like the Afghanistan army said, "We're out," and the president said, "We're out too." And they basically just threw up the white flag, and it's so sad.
Well, I mean, Trump said this was going to happen. He said if we pour out that quickly and swiftly, it's going to create a vacuum that's going to just have the need for the Taliban now because everybody else is gone.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a huge surprise how badly this was muffed up because of the last 6, 7, 8 months. So I'm not necessarily surprised about that because of who is behind it. But nobody wanted that. Nobody thought that it was going to go that way. So, but then again, here we are,
It went on to say, George said, so for you, that was always priced into the decision. That chaos was ultimately going to happen, and it was going to end in complete tearing. And Biden said yes. Now, exactly what happened, I've not priced in, but I knew that they're going to have an enormous. And then he stopped because I'm reading a quote. He said, "Look, one of the things we didn't know is what the Taliban would do in terms of trying to keep people from getting out. What they would do, what are they doing now? They're cooperating. Let American citizens get out, American personnel get out, embassies get out, etc. But we're having some more difficulty having those who helped us when we were in there." It was hard to read that quote, by the way,
Well, it's hard
but
to understand anything he says.
it just seems, just the pictures. Like I'm looking at a plane with hundreds of people with their, like, I mean, you can sit there and see that they're holding their children and their babies and their loved ones. Um, it's a very, very sad thing. It's like, what are we doing at the end of the day?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? Did we just help them? Like, did we just help the Taliban transition a lot smoother than, you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
I feel like we helped the Taliban transition a lot smoother than we helped the Afghan
Well, no,
country transition of taking power.
you can't instill a will into people to fight. So, I mean, that was a big thing from the get-go is the Afghan people, the Afghan army, they have to come together. They have to want this, and they have to want to fight against the Taliban. But the Taliban is so deeply rooted into the culture, and they're embedded in every aspect of life. Over there, it's just it's a completely different scenario than we've ever had to experience. But absolutely, we absolutely helped them. I mean, look at what we left. Look at how quickly we left. I mean, they said it was going to take, way longer for this to happen, and it took less than 2 weeks. And that's because they wanted this. They've been wanting this for 20 years. I mean, the one CNN reporter was saying, "Oh well, yeah." So they're chanting "Death to America," but they seem friendly enough, which is utterly bizarre.
Yeah.
Like what? I just to try to get logic behind any of this and try to understand the media and how everything is being, spin off is beyond me. I'm incapable of doing that because I can't believe to an extent of what I'm seeing, and I can't believe. And not only that, though, but we see the Fox and the CNN and the MSNBC and the ABC. But then again, we also both have social media, and
Yeah.
we also see the people who are talking about this that have served, 2 tours in Afghanistan or Iraq, and they've been there and they have friends and they have family that have died over there. And this has been, I think it's one of the generals said it was like over 2,400 lives have been lost, over 20,000 soldiers have been wounded or maimed, and that's on our end of it. Now,
Yeah.
granted, the Afghans have heavy losses too. I mean, in the last year, we haven't had really any losses, but they have suffered most of all the casualties because they're the ones also out there fighting.
Yeah.
But I mean, at some point, you have to fight for your own country. You have to stand up, and it's not about getting paid. It's
Yeah.
if you want it bad enough, you're gonna make it happen.
Yeah. I'm gonna read one last quote because I think it's just fascinating to hear what what the president said in this interview. So George went on and said, "When you look at what's happened over the last week, was it a failure of intelligence, planning, execution, or judgment?" And this is what Biden had to say. He said, "Look, it was a simple choice, George. When you had the government of Afghanistan, the leader of that government, get in a plane and taking off and going to another country, when you saw the significant collapse of the Afghan troops we had trained up to 300,000 of them, just leaving their equipment and taking off, that was, that's what happened. That's simply what happened." And so the question was, in the beginning, the threshold question was, do we commit to leaving within the time frame we set, or do we extend it to September 1st, or do we put significantly more troops in? And I don't know. It seems like I don't know. It seems like it was just completely a mess.
Yeah.
Like not organized at all. I mean, yeah, you've trained up 300,000, but were they prepared mentally to deal with that?
Well,
You
the
know what I
thing
mean?
is we leave. They don't. The Taliban doesn't leave. They live with these people.
Yeah.
So we're halfway across the globe, and we're not there anymore.
Yeah.
What do you expect
You
them
know,
to do
what's
on
really
that?
what's really crazy too, excuse me, is we spent 20 years over there and the
2 decades.
Taliban is still there.
Oh,
You
they're
know what I
all yeah.
mean?
Oh yeah.
The
Mm-hmm.
Taliban didn't go away.
Nope.
The US, and that's not knocking Americans or United States. Like I said, it's a very rough terrain over there, but we spent 2 decades over there and the Taliban in a matter of days just took over
Mm-hmm.
when we left. Like, I mean, how did that happen? Like, what was, I don't know, what could it been a better way of just maybe just putting it out there that we were going to leave and then kind of maybe setting up some, ambushes on the Taliban and just wipe them out? Like, was there a
Well,
way?
if that's something that is you're thinking about that makes sense, we have every major Taliban leader in one spot right now. We know exactly where they're at. We know they're all together.
Yeah, it'd be a great plan, but the
It
plane's left.
Well, what I'm saying
we,
is like
we
you're telling
left.
me we can't. You're telling me we can't reach out and touch somebody
Yeah,
with the technology and the arsenal that we have.
yeah,
But yet, I almost feel like they are getting a platform and they're getting this stage to where people are gonna, they're looking at it now to where it's like, okay, well that's just what it is. The Taliban took over the whole country.
yeah,
Is that it? Like, are we done? Like,
yeah,
are we really done?
yeah,
Are we not gonna try to like make it better? Are we not gonna try to drop a little bit of freedom on somebody,
yeah.
since we know that all these major people are in the same spot and yet our military is gone.
I mean, 300,000 soldiers is a lot of soldiers
It is.
in Afghanistan, and for all of them just to put down their guns and just basically walk away. I mean, and I'm sure some of them fought. I'm sure they did, but that's alarming, man. That's straight up fear.
Yeah. I
Fear.
saw a clip actually, and it was of an Afghan soldier, and his commander was telling him like, "Hey, we're leaving," and this grown man was in tears, and he's like, "I'm not giving up my weapon. I am not.
Yeah,
I'm not surrendering. I'm not doing it." And like that was hard to watch. I don't. There's a language barrier. There's a cultural barrier, but he had it full hearted that he was not. He was going to die before he surrendered. When every other person around him is saying, "Hey, we're leaving. We're going home." And this guy's like, "Dude, what are you talking about? Like, we can't stop. We can't, and that was one of God knows how many that felt that way.
yeah. History, man. History. It's absolutely insane.
I just think, I think this is going to be talked about for a very long time. I
Yeah,
think that in the future, it's going to be brought up again and again. And I think that for the most part, this is going to be one of Biden's biggest mess ups.
blunders.
Absolutely, hands
Yeah,
down. I mean, there's a lot to choose from, but I think this is going to be one of the biggest.
yeah. I agree.